economic trends, compiled and presented by Dr. Darin Gunesekera.
Good evening, listeners. Welcome to the second session of our Global Economic Trends discussion. The objective of our discussions is to create an awareness and understanding amongst all of us about the current global economic trend, and especially to have in our minds what we can expect and what can be forecasted for the immediate future. As always, when looking forward, we have to have some idea of what is the reality today and what is the reality that has shaped today from the past. With these ideas in mind, this evening I would like to take up the matter of monetary policy. Monetary policy is a very, very wide area, and this evening we shall basically look at some of the main features that monetary policy should have before we focus on actual monetary policy for our smaller developing countries in the Indian Ocean area, especially Eastern Africa and Southern Asia. The main thing about monetary policy for those who are not students of economics is that it deals entirely about money, about the matter of money, which we normally call the money supply. The money supply of a country is the money that the government in some form or other has regards as the medium of exchange for the purposes of trade, of investment, and of public use. Now, students of economics are usually brought into the subject through the study of something called microeconomics and something called macroeconomics. Micro actually is where this all started, and it's surely now time to leave it as the area of Victorian economics, because in the last part of the last century and this century, microeconomics is of very little importance. What is of importance and what constitutes the subject of economics is now really macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the economics taken broadly of the entire country and not some micro part of it. The reason is money. Monetary policy today affects everybody and every item of the economy. You cannot escape it because the economy is now increasingly defined by price. We do things because of its price. We buy things, we sell things, we invest in things thinking of price. So that price is always money, and that therefore monetary policy is a crucial part. It's a central part of an economy, and it is also global. The old theory of this subject was that there were centers. These were the colonial centers, like Britain for the British Empire, France for the French Empire, and so on. And they called the colonies the periphery. Even after independence, this way of thinking about developing countries remained. It is still there, enshrined in the activities of the international system, as it is called in the press, but which is no longer really the international system. The international system is in a state of tremendous flux, and the center and periphery has vanished because money is money wherever money is. This is a very, very important point that should be kept in mind. Money, like everything else, has a price. That is why this money is so central. But money itself has a price, and that is called the interest rate, the holding of money or the getting of money. There is an interest rate associated with it. It is useful when thinking about things like this that are used all over the world. Money is used in any country, all over the country. What else is used all over the country? Well, there is food, and in a market sense, there is oil. Crude oil, the basis of energy, in actual fact, throughout the world, oil has a price. And the oil price is an international price. The other thing like that is gold. Gold in the monetary system is the ultimate liquid object, and gold also has an international price. Now, the oil price, when there are transactions in oil, especially between governments or between the major players, there is a reference oil price at any moment. Similarly, there is a reference gold price at every instant throughout 24 hours of the day. So the gold price and the oil price are international. Depending on the sample of the oil, the composition of oil, there will be a different price. But this is also according to a formula that is set. And similarly, the price of gold, it may vary according to the mint, but it is basically the international price of gold at some location. Now, this is an important point to realize, which is that really all money has one interest rate. If the money is in US dollars, there is a US dollar interest rate. It is global, and it should be global. If somebody is charging you an interest rate different to the global interest rate for that currency, then there is a right to be a little suspicious. There may be discounts on the oil price when you buy oil. There may be discounts on the gold price when you buy or sell gold. These are due to certain features, usually that of transport. Now, what is the transport involved in money? So the only difference will be risk. So if you have a non-risky method of transferring money, it should all have the same interest rate. That is the logic of it. What one sees around the world is that there is no single interest rate. Now, whenever that happens, any customer should ask the question, why is this so? If I buy something that is commonly bought, there should be a common price. That is the market system. So either the market system is not in operation, or else there are some other factors that are changing that interest rate, which should be the same. This is a basic point that I would like to bring to your attention. Another feature of monetary policy, especially in the developing countries, which is our concern, and especially in the prescriptions for developing countries, which is of even greater concern when we look at jointly at the developing countries of Africa and South Asia. There is one set of persons who basically continue the Milton Friedman arguments. Milton Friedman was a very great man. He came into popularity at the time that I was a student, which was very, very long ago. And he came into popularity really because he was an American phenomenon. He did not come from, as Keynes and others did, from European traditions. And he spoke in the same manner as the native-born American. And he basically suggested and proved in the one case of the United States of America, two ideas, which you will find being spoken of all over. One is the idea which is called no free lunch. This is supposed to be economics. What is meant by that is that if there is a federal deficit, if there is a national government deficit, this deficit has to be met by tax in some form. And the Friedmanite argument is that the deficit will lead to inflation, that inflation is a tax on the general public to cover that deficit that was originally created. This is an appealing argument, especially in the United States of America, and now through the spread of economics as a subject throughout the world, and many economists subscribe to this. Unfortunately, it is not true. It is a very appealing argument, but it overlooks some substantial areas of economics, such as the changes of industry, changes of productivity, and other changes that may be occurring during that period, and which is the reason for that deficit. The deficit at a national level should not be equated to deficit at a personal level. One of the serious problems in economics is that we use the same words that are used at personal level accountancy for national level accountancy. But national level accounts and personal level accounts are very different. The difference is simple. The nation will last forever. Therefore, all that counts for the nation is the current expenses and current income, and what are the items that are current. The longer term does affect the nation, but in a very, very different way in which these same changes affect individuals. I come to this through the second item from Friedman, which is that money supply changes and price changes are connected. According to him and all his supporters, there is no money change, no change in the money supply without a corresponding price change. And there is no price change without a money change. It may not be an instant relationship, but in 1 year or 2 years, or at some point, the increase in money supply will result in an increase in prices. And similarly, if you do see an increase in prices, there must have been earlier an increase in money supply. Now, there is also a very appealing argument, and it is an argument that makes sense. Again, unfortunately, it is not exactly true. Like many things in economics, the apparent logic is not in fact the economic logic. A person may save a lot of money as a saver, but a good saver is just a miser. He may not actually be saving all that much because the value of his savings will change. Similarly, money supply might leak out. It might leak out into other countries. It may be taken, as it is in fact is taken, in the primary and largest money supply changes by other people. And their prices go up and not yours. So the theories from which we historically look at the problems affecting our developing countries are unfortunately very appealing, but not necessarily true. In fact, they're not true.
You heard Global Economic Trends, compiled and presented by Dr. Darin Gunesekera.
Radio Sri Lanka.